The hollow of Black Veil was not merely a prison. It was a death sentence wrapped in stone and sorrow. No man, once shackled within its bleak corridors, had ever left alive. The walls bled dampness, the air reeked of decay, and the dim lanterns sputtered as though reluctant to illuminate the horrors they had witnessed. Death did not wait for executioners here. It came on its own accord, hastened by sickness, madness, and horrors unseen. The prison was built upon the ruins of a forgotten city, deep within the valley where the sun seldom touched the earth. A thick, choking fog clung to the walls like a shroud, its touch colder than the grasp of the dead. It was said that the land itself was cursed, that the prison thrived upon the suffering of those within. No prisoner lasted long, for within these walls death took many forms. Rats, bloated and fearless, gnawed at the weak. The water, if one dared to drink it, carried parasites that rotted a man from the inside. The food, a grotesque slop of spoiled meat and infested grain, sickened even the most iron-stomached. And if disease did not claim you, the damp air, thick with mold, would fill your lungs with rot. Yet the most dreaded fate was to be taken to the deep. The prisoners spoke of it in hushed whispers, though none could describe it firsthand, for none had returned. Every few nights, the iron door at the end of the corridor would groan open, and a prisoner would be chosen at random. A procession of gaunt-faced guards, clad in black robes, would shackle the unfortunate wretch and drag him down the spiral staircase, vanishing into the darkness below. The screams that followed were not the screams of a man being tortured, but of something far worse, something unnatural. Among the condemned was a man named Elias, a former scholar whose only crime had been knowing too much. His cell was cold, his body weak but his mind still sharp. He had watched as one by one his fellow prisoners succumbed. Some died in their sleep, others in agonized convulsions. The ones taken to the deep were never seen again. Elias knew his time was near, and so he waited, listening. Then came the night when the iron door groaned open once more. The guards did not need to search for their next victim. Elias stood ready. He had no desire to be dragged. If he was to meet his end, he would do so with dignity. The guards, their faces unseen beneath their hoods, shackled him and led him downward, up into the bowels of Black Veil. The staircase spiraled endlessly, the air growing colder, wetter. A distant sound like the wailing of souls lost in torment grew louder with each step. At last they reached a cavernous chamber, its walls lined with strange markings, pulsing with a sickly green light. A pit yawned at the center, black as a void, exhaling a stench so foul it made Elias retch. The guards did not speak. They merely unshackled him and stepped back. Something moved in the pit. A shape slithered within the darkness, vast and grotesque. It was neither beast nor man, but something that had no place in the waking world. Its flesh was slick, its form ever-shifting, its many eyes gleaming with malevolent hunger. A single tendril reached up, curling toward Elias. He did not scream. He did not beg. Instead, he whispered a name he had uncovered in his studies long ago, a name meant to banish nightmares. The cavern shuddered, the light flickered, and the air became thick with an unnatural stillness. The creature hesitated. And then, for the first time in the history of Black Veil, the prisoner was not devoured. The guard stepped forward, uncertain. The pit seethed, furious at the defiance. Elias turned to the nearest guard, his voice steady despite the tremor in his limbs. "You do not control it," he said. "You only feed it." The ground trembled, and from the depths of the pit came a sound. Not a growl nor a roar, but laughter. Low, guttural, and amused. The creature withdrew, retreating into its abyssal home. The guards, no longer solemn, now seemed afraid. Elias took a step back, then another. The guards did not stop him. The prison quaked as he ascended the staircase, unshackled, unharmed. The hollow of Black Veil was not meant to release its prey, yet something had changed.